everybody. Just a reminder to put yourself on mute if you don't mind, so we can get rid of some background noise. And then if you have questions or if you're in the spotlight with your question that you might have asked ahead of time, you can unmute. We're going to go ahead and get started. I will let Marianne do her quick intro. So there, hi, Marianne.
Hey, Lauren. Thank you for hosting. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I think a lot of you know me already. For those of you that don't, I'm just going to do a quick intro before we jump into the questions. So I'm Marianne Pfeiffer. I am the founder and principal of 108 Degrees, which is a small but nimble marketing agency here in Southern New Hampshire, but we work virtually. So my team is from everywhere. I'm a MailChimp Pro partner. It means I'm certified at the highest levels of MailChimp as one of their experts. I also work within other systems as well, from Constant Contact to Emma to all of them, because I've been doing email for a really, really long time. But I'm also a marketing speaker because I've been in digital marketing basically since the dinosaurs of digital marketing. I've been here kind of since all of this stuff has evolved. So back in the early days, we just had websites, and then we had email and websites, and then we had LinkedIn and little social media sites and so on and so forth. It's kind of been there for the evolution of digital marketing. And so I try to speak on topics of which I have knowledge. And that's what we're going to do today. So today we're having a workshop, and the difference between a workshop and a webinar, for those of you who have been my clients, you know very well, I give you homework. When we talk, we're going to find out what your next problem is to solve. And I'm going to send you off to do homework, because our philosophy at my organization is that an educated client is the best client. The more you understand about your marketing and the work that needs to be done, even if you're having us do it, the better your marketing results will be. And we've proven that for over 20 years. So we believe in educating our clients. So these little meetings are not just like a webinar where you're going to sit and listen in. I'm going to actually give active homework. So if what we're talking about makes sense to you, if you're like, yeah, this is really what I need, there's going to be, and we'll include that, the links to everything in our follow-up after the fact, links to homework that you can do. So articles you can read, resources you can access, just different things that we as professional marketers use to help do our jobs better so that you can learn a little bit more about it. Whether you decide to use it yourself or hire somebody else to do it, that's fine. At least you'll go in with an educated perspective. So that said, I guess we can jump into the first question, Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me find her. Juliana, you're on deck. I'm gonna pin you right here so we can get both of you there. This question comes from Juliana, and her question is, if my company could focus on one direct marketing campaign that will result in sales and brand awareness, which would you suggest we focus on, whether that's social media, email, SEO ads, etc.?
Hey, Juliana, can you hear me? You're still muted. There you are.
Now, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Nice to hear from you.
Yes, you as well. So I have context because we've worked together before, but to give context to other people who are attending and watching, you're in a B2B space, right? So you're talking to other business professionals, right?
Yeah, primarily that's the majority of our sales. We do have a retail space too. Online, we built a Shopify store for those direct retail sales, but the majority of ours comes from distributors, so business to business, like you said, via like email is how we get like our orders and a lot of our communication.
Right, right. So I'm gonna track back to my roots here since like the late 90s, right? And so if we talk about like what has been around consistently for marketing, because if you're gonna spend the time, you're a small team, and so you can't just be everywhere, right? You have to decide where are we going to put a concerted effort, because it's going to take resources away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to say, in the late 90s, we had websites, right? And then we added email, and then we added a whole bunch of other things, to different components to marketing, and SEO, pay-per-click, search ads, social media, video. There's so many things, right? And there's so many channels, but I would say you have to get back down to basics. The first thing you need to have is a really solid website. Make sure that your website has all the information that your people that are the clients you're trying to attract, the customers that you're looking for, has everything that they would need, whether that's contact forms, product information, downloads, whatever. Once you know that those ducks are in a row, the next and best piece of marketing for you to institute, especially in a B2B space, but this also goes for the commerce side as well, is email marketing. The reason why in a B2B space is because I can tell you every person in a B2B space is going to open their email pretty much every day of the week. I don't know if they're going to go to LinkedIn. I don't know how many Google searches they're going to do. I know they're going to open their email. So if you are in their inbox every day on a regular basis, okay, then you will be where they are so that they can find you when they need you. Now, in a B2B space, people aren't going to need you every day. They don't have a budget allocation every day. They don't have a need every day, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a need buy, not a want buy. So for that reason, it's kind of important that you realize that as the perspective and don't say, oh no, we're not getting really good open rates. It's not about the open rate per se in that case. It's about the right people opening at the right time and making the right buying decision. So B2B is a little bit more nuanced in some ways when it comes to data, but generally email is the channel I would recommend. Within email, what can you do? The first thing I always start with is some kind of automation. I call it the gift that keeps on giving, because once you set up an automation, it runs in perpetuity. So every time someone is added to your list, they're going to start receiving those automations if they're qualified for it. And for you as a small team, it allows you to create something one time. Not that you shouldn't revisit it. You should revisit it, every time you have a product update or there's some seasonal changes or something like that. But generally, you create that automation, you're going to put a lot of work into it, but it'll keep working for you in an ongoing way. Once you have automation set up, things like learning guides, newsletters, educational type forums do really, really well. And then even things like customer stories and case studies, things like that. These are all things, especially in a B2B space. But again, all of this does translate into B2C. It's just a little bit different in how it works. But all of this will work in your B2B space. And right now, you start with the existing customer list you have. You're not a new company. You guys have
Right.
been around for a while. So
Yeah.
you have a customer base to start from. You have a lot of contacts. And if you build the right journey based on the types of contacts, some of your contacts are going to be like the engineers that actually use your product, right? Some of them might be more buyer specifiers and they don't have as much technical knowledge. So you want to divide those audiences up. And you can usually use some version of the same automation, but you may have to tweak it a little bit on each audience. But again, for you, small team, you take the biggest chunk of your audience, you trim it down and say, okay, these people are going to get this, right? And then you can start to modify that for your other audience types. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, once your email is running and you see what's working, and what's great is with automation, you start it and you're going to watch what runs with your existing customer base. Then you can say, all right, we know what works really well. If we bring new people into the funnel, this is at that point, now you've got that established. That's when you start to look at things like SEO or pay-per-click or even social media to sort of draw new names into your lead funnel. You're already going to know what works with them. So once you know what works, you can then implement that and rev it up a little bit for specific, like if you do a PPC campaign on like a particular product area or problem, then you know which pieces you can take from your automation to use on those people because you know it'll work really well. All right.
Right. So
Any
what
other
is
questions?
well, just to follow up on the automation and like
Yeah.
getting that started, what type of an email are you like describing? Is it like, what is it focusing on?
Okay, so again, it depends very much on who you're talking to.
Okay.
Okay. If you're talking to new people coming through your lead funnel, you usually want to start with some level of welcome series to introduce the company, the products, the consultative aspects of what you guys do. Okay. Because they don't know any of that. If you're starting with your existing contact base, you can make some base level assumptions. Okay. And some of those base level assumptions would be, like, oh, they've already worked with us because they purchased. These are people who purchased from us before. They know our products, they know our engineers, they
Okay.
know our consultative process. So you can maybe delve deeper into, products that they might not have heard of, applications that they didn't know about, customer stories, things like that. So you want to think about who the audience is, but really the focus should be education. And I always like to focus on the most evergreen content that you can offer. Okay, because then you don't have to go back and change it a lot. You don't want to do too much seasonal stuff or short-term type things in your automations because it's more maintenance for you later to go fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
All
Awesome.
right. Thank you, Julia. That was a great question.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'm going to send you guys some homework on this one. So the homework on this one is going to be taking a look at some of the stats on Litmus and the ROI of email, and also looking at some B2B email examples of proven strategies. So when you get the notes from this, you'll get a doc that has links to that follow-up so you can dig in a little bit deeper.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question comes from Julius. So Julius, I'm going to Can you write? Yay! Julius asks, blog versus podcast. So we're switching gears a little bit. Which is the better option for sharing industry knowledge and expertise and building brand authority? Julius is looking to reach more people and is a little conflicted over which one to use.
Hi, Julius. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. So
So,
I'm a mental health professional, psychotherapist by training. And one of the things that I'm hearing from my clients is some of them love email, they love blogs, but they feel that they can be too intrusive. And there are others who, as you just articulated beautifully, love having that level of access to me. They love getting a daily message from me. It lifts their spirits, it strengthens a relationship. I have other clients that I had a blog at one point. They go back and listen to it. And I haven't did my podcast, I'm sorry, in years. And they go back and listen to the 2 episodes that I had because they find it to be much more helpful. The conversational piece, it feels more practical, it feels
Yep.
accessible. So I only have the bandwidth for one or the other at this point, and I'm conflicted
Right.
about which direction to go.
Right. And it's interesting, Julius, because the space that you're in is one where people are, very sensitive, right? And you have to sort of be sensitive to their needs and what they're looking for and how often you reach them. So you sort of don't want to be too intrusive in their inbox, right? But at the same time, you want to be accessible when they need you. So when did you do your podcast? When was your last episode? How long ago?
It was during the presidency of our last president. That's how far back.
Yeah, we all needed a lot of therapy then, I think. But
the podcast was How to Live Free in Trump's America. And so I talked about polarization, and I talked about body agency and politics and coping strategies and tribalism.
yeah,
And
there were a lot of family Thanksgivings that were not so friendly
yeah,
for a
and
while
so
there, and they're just some of them still aren't back again. So what you're talking about is like really sensitive stuff. And what I'm going to tell you is the tools that you were using back then have gotten way better since then. Okay. So trying to understand if your audience are readers versus watchers versus listeners, right? Because a podcast can be just sound, it can also be video with recording, right? So are they watchers? Are they listeners? It's really hard to know that. And if you have industry data, in some industries you can find that. And if you can find industry data that says people really like this format, then that's a place to start, right? However, that's not most people. And even for my clients, that's a hard call because just because the industry data says that doesn't mean our followers think that. But the good news is tools have gotten a lot better and there's no reason why you can't do both today. Okay. So there's tools out there, AI assisted. So definitely stuff that has come up in like the last few years, AI assisted tools that will record your video and audio, if or just your audio if you want, then transcribe all of that for you. Okay. And provide you with the output of like, here's my recording in video and or audio format. And here's the transcript of that. So you can just go in and edit. Okay. So that will save you. So because your concern is like, how am I going to plan all this content and then write all this content and then I have to talk about the content? It's like half the work, right? Because a lot of us, and we do it with these very recordings, right? Is we record these and then we extrapolate from that, and then we'll do a social media caption from it, or we'll do a short blog post from it, or whatever, because we have, I mean, if I can talk paint off a wall, according to my husband. So with that ability comes the ability to then like use technology like that to scrape all the words, kill what you don't need, and create a little piece as well. So depending on how you plan your content, right? You could have a talk. You could take that talk and turn it into some social captions. You could take that and turn it into an email. You could make a blog. So the homework that I send you, there's going to be 2 different pieces of technology that I recommend. One of them I use myself there, and they're very affordable and it makes your life so much easier. I'm going to add, does that answer your question?
great.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to add one more layer. If you're in the B2B space and you use LinkedIn, another place where you can blog or take these types of recording AI assisted whatevers, right, is LinkedIn. You can publish articles on LinkedIn, and that becomes a whole different kind of social outlet, a whole different kind of blog outlet than what you already have. So yeah, you might have social posts in the LinkedIn feed, but now you can have articles there as well. So if you're in the B2B space and you have some knowledge sharing that is worthwhile to do, then I would really consider, also using LinkedIn as another format for that. All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Julius. I'm glad that helped.
It was amazing.
Cool. All right,
Awesome.
Lauren, what do we have next?
Okay, okay, Julius, I'm going to unpin you. There we go. I have Emily French, who I know is here. I'm going to pin her. Emily asks, what are some of the best practices for email marketing and social media marketing?
Hi, Emily. Oh, I think Emily lost her sound capability.
Yeah.
But you can hear us okay. So keep trying, Emily, or if you want to throw something in the chat and then Lauren can read it out loud, that'll be fine. Let me talk very generally at first as far as best practices, because you're talking about two very different areas. You're talking about email and you're talking about social. And the reality is that, like, tactically, every platform, every channel is going to have sort of its own best practices. It sort of just depends, like what you do on Facebook that's right is not necessarily right on Twitter, is not necessarily right on TikTok, right? They're all kind of like different rules that you play by. So tactically, you want to look at each channel and what are the best practices of that channel. But generally, in sort of across the broad spectrum, the first rule in any kind of marketing communications is know who you're talking to. All right. You can't have a conversation with somebody. You can't keep it relevant if you don't know who you're talking to. So understand the audience, and the audience you have in one platform may be very different than the audience that you have in another. So for example, the people who subscribe to your email list may all be like former customers or clients, right? But the people that you see on social media are more networking contacts that you all have things in common. So understand that with different audiences, you're going to have a different conversation. So know who you're talking to. Second big rule of thumb is only talk to people who want to hear from you. This is more of an email thing than a social thing, but certainly in email, we call it permission-based marketing. People are giving you permission to email them. Don't email them if you don't have permission to do that. You might know who they are, so you know what to say to them, but if they haven't asked to hear from you, it's going to be, like, where did you come from? Now, there's a sales aspect of this in terms of, cold email, which is sort of a whole different ballgame. I'm going to put that aside. That's a whole other discussion for another day. But generally in email, only talk to the people that want to hear from you. And in social media, where that plays in is, if you're going to tag someone in your post or a company in your post, or if you're going to be interacting with people and not just putting a post out there, but actually trying to build engagement, don't start like randomly tagging, Taylor Swift, hoping that she'll answer, right? Like, she's a busy lady. She's got a lot on her mind. We're hoping she gets engaged soon. She doesn't have time to comment on all of our posts. Okay. Do tag people who want to hear from you, people who are your colleagues, people who are customers that you have permission to tag. Anyone who you regularly are working with, those are the people who want to hear from you, and they're happy to be mentioned in your post or commented on in your post so that they can participate in that discussion with you. My third rule, there's four. The third rule is to be generous, okay? Whether it's email, whether it's social, give first, ask later, right? Give your knowledge freely, give your opinions freely, share what you know to build good community, whether it's your own email community of people that you email, or whether it's social media and people you're connecting to. Be a good community contributor. Be generous with what you know and what you can offer. It doesn't mean you have to give away your products or your services for free, right? But certainly, be part of a conversation. Don't be lecturing at people. And lastly, be polite and be respectful. Okay. Keep things positive. There's enough negativity in the world. We don't need more of it, right? So when you're interacting with people, whether it's by email or whether it's now, of course, like during the pandemic, we, as 108 Degrees, had to send a lot of very not happy email, right? Because we were working with clients who had shutdowns and closures, and it's very hard to keep those messages positive, okay? Product delays don't make anybody happy. But, the positive spin we would put on it is that, listen, we know it's terrible, but we're communicating this with you because we want to be transparent. We want you to know what's going on. And if you have questions, come back and ask us. It's not always like hip, hip, hooray, yay, positive, right? But keep it as positive as you can, and certainly keep it, respectful of your audience. Those are sort of like my big 4 rules for like general best practices. In the follow-up homework, I'm going to send you links to social media best practices from Hootsuite and email best practices from SendGrid, 2 good resources. So you can kind of get an outline, but also even within the channels themselves, they're going to be very specific platform best practices you'll want to take a look at as well. Does that help, I hope?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay,
Yay.
sorry. I
That's
don't
okay.
know what was going on there. Yes, that helps. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
I think we have about 5 minutes, so I think we have time for one more. Although I don't think Jackie was able to join, but I will ask the question for you anyway. So
Okay.
if you mentioned, we do send out the recording for everyone, even if you're not here.
Mhm.
Her question was, how do you get through to the potential clients that just do not answer you?
Yeah, we get that a lot. So you're sending out like email after email, phone call after phone call, voicemail after voicemail, and they just don't answer you. And what I'm going to tell you is that you have to meet your prospect where they are, not where you want to find them, right? You might love using the phone to create that personal connection with people. People don't answer the phone anymore. It's very, very hard to get through on the phone. So that's okay. You have to acknowledge that and meet them where they are. Where are they? Are they in their inbox? Great. Send them email. Are they on social media? Fine. Go to that channel. Do they watch YouTube for 6 hours a day? Fantastic. Make some video. Okay. Find where your prospects are and go to where they are. You're not going to get them to answer you until they're ready to talk to you. So you just kind of have to be where they are so that when they're ready to talk to you, they will raise their hand and go, oh yeah, by the way, right? And then they'll come back to you. This is why in marketing, we build lead funnels, right? Because we're just going to keep collecting your names. We're going to be sending you emails, and we're going to keep dripping stuff into your inbox. So the day that you're ready to make a decision, or the day you have a question I can answer, I'm going to show up in your inbox. You're going to go, oh yeah, I've been getting all this email from that Marianne chick. So yeah, I guess, now's the time for me to contact her. Okay. That's what lead funnels are for. Continuous marketing is important. A lot of us, especially in a smaller business space, we market when we don't have anything to do, and then we get busy and we stop marketing, right? That start and stop is what's killing your lead potential, right? You have to be marketing all the time, even when you're busy. That's why, like we talked about with Juliana, the automations are so wonderful, because people continue to get your email even when you're busy and you don't have a lot of time to send it. Okay. The other thing I want to think about, because I know the business that Jackie's in, and it's very big on networking. So I strongly recommend, looking at networking, looking at other business professionals who are also looking to make connections. Other people that want to network and want to build connections are happy to share information. That helps to build your contact sphere a little bit, right? So you can do it in person. You can do it virtually now. There's a lot of virtual networking options, and these will help you be open to new opportunities and help you find other contacts who are also looking to grow their business. So the tips I have in the homework would be some networking information for small business owners from Entrepreneur, and another one from Fundbox. So online and in person, and things that you can do. Networking is still really, really key. And now with online opportunities, it's a lot easier for everyone to get involved.
Awesome.
All right. We have any more? I think we got a couple minutes left.
I got one more, who I also don't think is here in person. What is the best retention email flow other than the standard ones that look like abandonment, win back, etc.?
Okay. Yeah. So email retention or re-engagement emails are the emails that you send to people who are sort of like lapsed and they're kind of not really doing anything on your list, right? There's no magic bullet, right? There is no one single, this is the re-engagement email that works for everyone. It's really very specific to your list. So my advice is to test. We test a lot in marketing. Try something like an email direct from the CEO to that person. See what that does. Try a poll, try a quiz, try a free downloadable. There's a lot, try some different tactics and see what starts to work best. The only way you're going to know is by measuring. And also, again, that whole going back to like, know who you're talking to, know what's likely to engage them. Are these like new people who have never bought anything from you and are just on your list? Or are these existing customers that you have a relationship with? Just understanding that level of segmentation can help you create some really engaging content opportunities that will draw people in and help them to re-engage. And also, it is perfectly okay to segment those disengaged people off of your regular email list and email them completely separately. Because if you have 100,000 unengaged people on your list and you're trying to tell what the best subject line is, they are definitely skewing your data because they're not going to open anything. So, push them onto a separate segment, email them separately, see what activates them, and work with the engaged people to improve your regular email campaigns. Is that as succinct as I can be? I did it in 2 minutes. I think for me, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. And we nailed it at 1:30. So we can wrap it up.
Okay, well, guys, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate your time. So we have this recording. We will wrap this up. Those of you who attended and registered for today will get that first pass. So you'll get to see the video before anyone else. When Lauren follows up with everybody, she will send a link to that video, and she'll also send a link to a presentation that has all the resources that we talked about today. So I hope you dig into those and let me know if you have any further questions. Our next event is in March. And I don't remember the date because I'm terrible with dates, but Lauren will include it in the email that she follows up with you.
Apparently, I'm bad with dates too.
Okay. So she'll go ahead and put that in the email. So if you want to register for that one, if you have any other questions on these topics or others, we're really happy to answer them. And also, thanks for coming, and feel free to, oh, you're welcome, Lauren. You very welcome to invite others. Like if you got something worthwhile out of this and someone else who might as well, feel free. We're doing these to help just sort of educate and inform. And I'm not going to lie, also create some social media content for our YouTube channel. We have a social media manager who really likes videos, so we are accommodating her. So thank you for participating. Thank you for your questions, and good luck with your marketing.